The college football experience Dantabase top 25 episode on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Game Time. Yes, snag the tickets without the stress. Use that promo code CFBX on your first purchase to save $20. Download the Game Time app. Once again, use that promo code CFBX. We're also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Yes, Underdog has just added Pick'em Scorchers, where you can win 100 times the amount of money you enter. That's right. Turn $5 into $500 in one game. Plus, every Sunday, they're giving away $100,000. Woo! Use the promo code SGPN at Underdog Fantasy for a 100% deposit bonus up to $500. And remember, as always, folks, too, let it ride.
This is Mike Leach, head football coach at Mississippi State, and you're listening to SGPN. Let it ride.
Yes, yes, yes. Woo! Welcome to the college football experience Dantabase top 25 rankings. What, you didn't think I was going to do this year? You know I do it every year, but I wait until October, first week in October, because all the other rankings are bullshit before that because of all the different things. You got teams playing nobody. So October is when the official look, look, we love college football. We love it. We think it's the best form of football on the planet. However, the ranking system is kind of like a rigged election. You know what I mean? It's kind of like a third world, or maybe this world. Who knows? But we're going to try to make sense of it all. I like to think this is a much more honest top 25 without the bullshit that they throw at you. So if you're wondering what this episode is, this is the Dantabase top 25. We've been doing this for 3 or 4 years now. I think 4 years. So buckle up. We'll go through the top 25 teams the way that I think they should be ranked, based on resume and resume only, not based on popularity. All right. I like my football without a fucking popularity contest. This isn't fucking high school. All right. But perhaps you're wondering who the hell you're listening to. My name is Colby Swing at Dantabase Dan, aka Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
Nobody knows nothing. Somebody knows. Double the price. But no one touches Dundee.
Let's go. I love this episode. I love this sport. All right. It bleeds through me at all times. So when I see all these cockanimi top 25s, preseason polls, I shake my head. I bring my barf bag with me and I vomit all over all of them. All right. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Shout out to the chat as they're rolling along. Remember, you can watch this youtube.com/the college experience. This is a very fun episode for me. I take a lot of time making this Dantabase top 25, and I think it makes perfect sense. All right. I went through, and once again, this is resume based only, and I believe that's the way it shouldn't be. It shouldn't just be like, oh, well, this team's been good over the past 10 years. They've played no one this year, so let's just put them there because, 8 years ago, I know college football does have a few 8-year players, but a lot of it is just bullshit for TV ratings and, to work against the smaller schools, in my opinion. Let's start things off. We're just going to jump right into this fucking thing. All right. At number 25. And look, if you want to know what I look at, I have a spreadsheet that I do. And the first thing I do is I marked down for this episode. This gets a little more complex as the season goes along. I have a list of all the undefeated teams. I have a list of the one-loss teams. In my opinion, at this point in the season, there should not be a 2-loss team in the top 25. There should not. All right. That's going to change in the coming weeks and it will become more complex. But right now, I think you're either undefeated or you have 1 loss. If you have 2 losses, you should not even sniff the fucking top 25 right now. All right. But I also look at road wins. First off, how many Power Fives you've played. All right. Certain schools don't have that luxury because they're mid-majors. But if we are dividing this by a group of 5 and Power 5, which seems like they do all the fucking time, I'm trying to look at it from their point of view a little bit. All right. And that is how many Power 5 wins you have. Also, how many road wins you have, regardless of P5 or not. And also, I take a look at if you've scheduled in FCS. And with all that said, at number 25, I have the Marshall Thundering Herd. All right. The logic here is this. And by the way, there's a couple undefeated teams that are not in the top 25 right now because you can't just say because you're undefeated. Liberty has played no one. Yes, they have 2 road wins against the Airport and Buffalo, but they didn't make my top 25 because they really haven't played anybody good. Now, I will say their best win is Bowling Green, and that win looks a little bit better because Bowling Green just went down to Atlanta and beat the piss out of the Yellow Jackets. However, they really don't have their best wins are Bowling Green and the Airport. That's not a strong resume yet. If you continue to win, I think you can get into the top 25 and boom. The Air Force Falcons also did not make it. Now, I know some of this is bullshit because teams don't like playing the service academies and they can't help themselves because if a Power 5 won't play them, it sucks. You know what I mean? It's not their fault. But Air Force is undefeated, but their best win, it's actually kind of hard to dictate who is their best win. I actually think the team that is the best team they've played is probably San Jose State. Maybe San Diego State. But all of their wins are against teams that aren't winning. You know what I mean? So San Jose State, Sam Houston State, San Diego State, Utah State, and Robert Morris, who's actually a terrible FCS too. But they're undefeated, but they can't be in the top 25 because they really haven't had a big-time win. So that leaves those 2 are not in the top 25. Yes, I have undefeated teams behind 1-loss teams. All right. You can't just say, oh, they're undefeated. They deserve to be ahead of a 1-loss team if they've played absolutely nobody. So there's the logic there. The Marshall Thundering Herd, though, have a Power 5 win against Virginia Tech. Now, their road resume, not amazing here. They won at ECU, but ECU sucks ass. Thank you, Patty C, for Mike Houston. Catch the sarcasm. They also beat Old Dominion, and they beat the Albany Great Danes and FCS. I mean, they're a decent FCS, but it's not a lot of bite in that resume. I'm just doing them that they have a Power 5 win. That's why they deserve it over Air Force and Liberty, in my opinion. So that's what I have at number 25 is the Marshall Thundering Herd. At number 24, I have the Ole Miss Rebels. The logic here is this. Ole Miss has a quality loss, if that makes sense. They lost in Tuscaloosa to Alabama by 14. They have wins against LSU, wins at Tulane. Even though Tulane didn't have their starting quarterback, it's not Ole Miss's fault that the fucking quarterback didn't play. Also a win against Georgia Tech, so they have 2 Power 5 wins. A Tulane win, which is almost a Power 5 win to me. And they do have an FCS win against Mercer and a 2-score loss to Alabama on the road. That shit matters to me. All right. So I think Ole Miss is the 24th best team in the nation right now based off resume. And I think that makes sense because, I mean, LSU, it's not like LSU. That LSU win is their best win, but it's not like that's looking amazing. LSU has wins against Arkansas by 3. Grambling. Trying to think if they have a third win there. LSU's resume is not amazing right now because they got their ass kicked by Florida State. and then they lost to Ole Miss. But I do think based off all this, Ole Miss is the 24th best team in the Dantabase top 25. At number 24, I'm going to take you to the Alabama Crimson Tide. Oh, why do I have them ahead of Ole Miss? They played on the fucking field. All right. They won. All right. Alabama won by 14. They deserve to be ranked ahead of Ole Miss. Now, Alabama's resume, they have not played an FCS yet also. So they're a one-loss team, much like Ole Miss. They played head-to-head. They have not played an FCS. They will play an FCS later in the year, which is even more ridiculous. But we'll get to there when that happens. But Bama has they have a decent resume here. They have a win against Ole Miss and a win on the road at Mississippi State. They also won at South Florida. I know that's a bullshit away game, but I got to give it credit based off the system. It is where South Florida plays their home games. So I got to just say that's a good, they have 2 road wins. That's deserving. They also beat Middle Tennessee, even though Middle Tennessee does not have a good record. That is the reason why they lost at home to Texas by double digits. You'll see more. Texas will be on this list to reveal my hand. But I think Alabama's resume, their best win is Ole Miss. Their second best win is at Mississippi State, even though Mississippi State sucks ass, it's still something. It's a Power 5 win on the road. They have 2 road wins, even though the South Florida one's kind of a gimmick road game. I think they have the best the 23rd best resume in all the land. So, and obviously if Bama wins at A&M this week, they'll jump up a shit ton because that is a team with a winning record and it's on the road. Kind of think we should look at those things. At number 22, I got the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. All right. Notre Dame's played they have 2 wins against Power 5s, Duke and NC State. Ironically, both 10 miles apart or something, if even 5 miles apart, whatever the fuck. They also have a non-con win against Central Michigan, which actually doesn't look that bad because Central Michigan went to South Alabama and got a dub. However, they do have an FCS win, and they also have a win against Navy, and Navy sucks ass. So there's not too much meat on the bone, but Duke and NC State currently have winning records. They got those wins, and their only loss was to Ohio State by 3. It's a pretty damn good resume. It's one of the highest resumes for a one-loss team to me. But I'm going to make a case that they shouldn't be the highest rated one-loss team. Yes, if you asked me, do I think they could beat this other team? Potentially. But that's irrelevant. We're only looking at fucking resume. All right? At number 21, I got the West Virginia Mountaineers. Now, how could you do that? Notre Dame's better than West Virginia. Maybe so. What they haven't played on the fucking field. I don't know that to be true. West Virginia's got a very good resume. Yes, they have the 1 loss at Penn State, though. Notre Dame lost at home. West Virginia lost on the road. Granted, it was by 24 points or something. What was it? I have it written down somewhere right here. They lost by 23. All right, but get this. Notre Dame only has 2 wins against Power 5s. Guess what West Virginia has? They have 3. Yes, they won at TCU last week, which is their best win of the season. They also beat Pitt, who's later on Notre Dame's schedule. They also beat Texas Tech. All right, now I know Pitt and Texas Tech don't have winning records, but the reality is they have 3 Power 5 wins. Notre Dame has 2. They've both played an FCS. If anything, West Virginia's FCS could be better than Notre Dame's. So I think it's pretty fair to rank West Virginia higher than Notre Dame because they lost on the road, not at home. Logical, right? I think so. They also beat the team. Like TCU, you could argue, I know TCU is better than NC State. Is TCU better than Duke? Duke's got a better record right now, but, what's trying to get that on the map? No, I'm not trying to get on the. What are you talking about? No. West Virginia deserves it, man. They deserve it. They've got they have 3 Power 5 wins. Dude, Look at how many teams have 3 Power 5 wins in the whole nation right now. It's not that many. At number 20 is a team that has 3 Power 5 wins as well, and that is the Utah Utes. And why do I have Utah ahead of West Virginia and Notre Dame? It's because, they lost on the road by less. They lost at Oregon State by less than what West Virginia did. Notre Dame doesn't have that. Notre Dame lost at home. But also, it's what Utah did. Florida still has a winning record. They beat Florida. That's a Power 5. They also won at Baylor. Well, Baylor just beat UCF. That helps that resume. They also beat UCLA, who has a winning record. So you have 3 Power 5 wins against, I think, what? Baylor's record is what? They lost to Texas State. They lost to Texas. They beat Long Island. They beat UCF. Am I forgetting one more? I might be. But the point is that their 3 Power 5s at the moment are better. And this should always change. If Florida loses next week, that hurts their resume. That hurts, Utah's resume. So do I factor in Rising not playing? No, I don't really. I mean, maybe a tiny bit. The human element of it is like Tulane's loss. If I was to list all 133, which I rank, then Tulane would be a little higher based off the fact they didn't have their starting quarterback, much like UTSA not having Frank Harris for a couple weeks. I do think that matters, but no, I just think Utah's resume is better right now. Utah's resume. Florida still has a winning record, right? As much as I don't think Florida's a very good team right now, that is a winning record against a Power 5. Like, what's a better win? Utah beating Florida, or Notre Dame beating NC State. That's pretty damn close, Or how about this? Texas Tech has a losing record. West Virginia beat Texas Tech. I think you got to honor it as it is right now. This could all change in the coming weeks, but right now, I think Utah has the best resume based on losses. I also believe between Notre Dame, West Virginia, and Utah has played the best FCS in Weber State, right? So that should all matter. I actually think Weber State would lay 21 points against the FCSs that West Virginia and Notre Dame play. I also host the FCS College Football Experience. Subscribe, tell a friend. Look, before we get to the next one, I want to tell you that the College Football Experience is brought to you by the Game Time app. Yes, buying tickets to your favorite events shouldn't be that stressful. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all sports, music, comedy, and theater that is near you. With killer deals on last-minute tickets and their best price guarantee, you can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped for the fun that you'll be having at that very event. And forget planning months in advance. What's that ever done for anybody? All right, Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the day of the event. They even have the Game Time guarantee, which means you'll always get the best price. In fact, if you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Yes. So what are you doing, folks? Snag the tickets without the stress with the Game Time app. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use that promo code CFBX. CFBX for $20 off your first purchase. Once again, terms apply. Create that account. CFBX for $20 off. Download the Game Time app. Last minute tickets. Lowest price guaranteed. All right. We are back on the College Football Experience. And let's go. Let's go. We're jumping over now to, this is a team that I think. So now we're at this point, and I actually think I was kind of generous with this team. This was a hard team for me to forecast here. At number 19, I put the Miami Hurricanes. Their resume is complete ass. They have the worst resume of the undefeated Power Fives, in my opinion. They have beaten 1 Power 5, and that was at home. They have 0 road wins, right? Against a Power 5. They have 1 road win at Temple, I'm sorry. But Temple's ass. That doesn't do much. They also have an FCS win and their FCS win is against one of the worst FCSs in all of college football. However, they do have a win over Miami, Ohio, the Red Hawks, and that win looks better because Miami, Ohio beat the Cincinnati Bearcats. So you got that going for you, and you got a win against Texas A&M, and Texas A&M's resume is not bad. They're not in the top 25, the Dantabase top 25. They're a little further down, but they're not that far down. So I thought I was being a little generous with the Miami Hurricanes just because I didn't know where to put them. They're undefeated. That win against Texas A&M is a pretty damn good win, but you could certainly argue that Utah has played a much hard. If you gave Miami Utah's schedule, there's a chance Miami might have 2-3 losses. That is the one that I thought out of this whole thing was the biggest stretch for me. There was two things, and I'll get to another one in about 20 minutes, I feel like. But that was one of the biggest stretches for me, was that they're undefeated. They look damn good. They've beat the shit out of everybody. Double-digit wins in every single game. But the resume is not fucking impressive, all right? Besides the A&M win and a little bit of the Miami, Ohio win. There's not a lot of meat on the bone. So I thought I was being a little generous there. At number 18, I got the Michigan Wolverines. Look, Michigan's non-con is fucking pathetic, all right? They didn't play a Power 5. The only thing I'll say, they didn't play a Power 5. They didn't go on the road in the non-con. But they didn't play an FCS. So that it kind of improves them a little bit. Comparing their schedules to Miami, or their resume to Miami, Miami plays an FCS, right? Miami's only road trip is at Temple. Well, at least Michigan went to Nebraska. Like, Temple, no one goes to those fucking games, right? They're terrible. Now, Nebraska's not good, but at least it's a tough environment. That matters. Michigan's best win is against Rutgers and UNLV, which is pretty fucking pathetic. That's the balance right there. You say, well, Miami's win is certainly better than Michigan's, we think, right? Because Rutgers has beaten really kind of nobody. But at the same time, they didn't play an FCS. And Bowling Green, one of their wins, just beat Georgia Tech. UNLV is 5-1. Yeah. And East Carolina's resume is dragging down Michigan 100%. But Rutgers is a one-loss team. UNLV is a one-loss team, and then Bowling Green just got a huge win against a Power 5. So that is helping Michigan's resume just enough, in my opinion, to put it above the Miami Hurricanes. At number 17, I got the Kentucky Wildcats. Wildcats. Look, their road win is absolute dog shit too. And I actually think Michigan's road win is better than Kentucky's road win, right? Michigan won at Nebraska. Kentucky won at Vanderbilt. That's their only road win. However, though, and Kentucky did play an FCS, right? This is a good argument, Michigan, Kentucky. But Kentucky has a win against the Florida Gators. And I truly believe this is where it's tough. You say, well, Florida has more losses than Rutgers. But I think Florida is better than Rutgers. So there is a tiny bit of a human element to it. But another thing is this. Kentucky does have what? They have Ball State, Akron, Eastern Kentucky, right? Those are their non-con wins right now. That's actually worse than Michigan's, in my opinion, right? I mean, maybe I actually think Ball State probably ahead of, they'll probably be ahead of Bowling Green once conference play starts, probably. But it's pretty pathetic, all right? But to me, Kentucky has a tiny bit more meat on the bone. I think you could argue this all fucking day. Because going to Lincoln, Nebraska is much harder than going down to the construction zone. But I believe Rutgers really is not as good as their record. And I think Florida, I would lay double digits with Florida against Rutgers. 9, 10, something like that. But that's debatable. And I can see someone saying, hey, you're a fucking idiot, Dundee. Michigan's resume, UNLV is 5-1, but they've fucking played nobody. Rutgers is 4-1. Their best win is Northwestern. I think Florida's win against Tennessee is better than anything on Michigan's resume. Like, that teams Michigan have played, their best win is what? Virginia Tech getting beat down by Rutgers. I'm sorry. I'll take Florida over Tennessee. So I have Kentucky at 17. At number 16, I have the Oklahoma Sooners. They have 2 road wins, but this is much like Alabama, where one of those is kind of a bullshit road win at Tulsa. Kudos to playing at a group of 5, but you had the crowd. The other one is at Cincinnati. Cincinnati currently has a losing record. So both road wins, not super impressive. But you did beat Iowa State. You did beat SMU. You did beat Arkansas State, and Arkansas State's won 2 games in a row, so the resume gets a little bit better. 0 FCSs for Oklahoma. So, and I kind of think if you were to compare Oklahoma and Kentucky's resume, I think Oklahoma's resume is just a little bit better. Once again, I feel like you could argue this. You could certainly argue this, but there's no FCS on Oklahoma's, right? There's an FCS on Kentucky's. There's no FCSs on Michigan's. But if you look, Michigan's best win is Rutgers. Kentucky's best win is Florida. Oklahoma's best win is at Cincinnati, I would probably say, right? Kentucky's best win is at home. Michigan's best win is at home. At least Oklahoma went on the road to a Power 5. Now, I get it. It's not like Cincinnati's lighting the world on fire. But I just think it's right there. The fact that they didn't play an FCS, I put them above Kentucky. Another thing is score. The scores have been a lot better. Kentucky had some close calls against Eastern Kentucky and shit. So Oklahoma's been blowing the shit out of everybody for the most part. Double-digit wins in every single game. That must mean something too. Give me the Sooners at 16. I think they deserve it more than the other 2. At number 15, I have the Georgia Bulldogs. Oh, how could you do that? They're the reigning national champions. Well, guess what? Stetson Bennett's a fucking LA Ram. Jalen Carter's a Philadelphia Eagle, and half their other fucking rosters in the NFL. Yeah, I hate any rankings that look at last year, whether it's Georgia, whether it's whatever. If you're looking at last year, it's a fucking disgrace, in my opinion. It's a brand new fucking year, all right? Georgia has 1 road win against Auburn, which happens to be their best win. They also have a win against South Carolina, but South Carolina has a losing record, and that was in Athens, Georgia. So they've only played 2 Power 5s. Their non-con is a fucking joke. All right, UT Martin, they have an FCS. At least UT Martin is better than. Is Stetson Bennett still a Ram? I don't even remember. But is what's it called? UT Martin is actually better than Eastern Kentucky. So their FCS opponent is better than Kentucky's. Also, they played UAB and Ball State. Well, Ball State played Kentucky as well. They both played Ball State. It's a wash there. But I think Georgia's resume right now is clinging to a win at Auburn, lit environment. Auburn clinging to a winning record at 3-2. You got to reward it right now. Do I think Auburn's good? No, I don't. But right now, it is a team with a winning record on the road. I would give them the benefit of the doubt. So, yeah, I mean, I think Georgia's deserving at 15. Now I'm going to blow your mind because at 14, I'm going to stay with the Bulldogs and I'm going to go to Fresno State. What? How could you put Fresno State above Georgia? It's Georgia. They're going to have this will all work itself out. You know, it'll all work itself out. Fresno State has 2 road wins against Power 5 opponents. You know who doesn't have 2 road wins? Georgia. You know who doesn't have 2 road wins against Power 5s? Oklahoma. You know who doesn't? Michigan. Miami. Miami has 0 road wins against the fucking Power 5. All right? Fresno State's won at Purdue, right? Fresno State's won at Arizona State. And by 30 fucking points, basically. I think it was 29-0. If we're going to honor USC's win against Arizona State, you know, we got to honor Fresno's beating the piss out of them. Fresno also beat Nevada, Kent State, and Eastern Washington's a good FCS. But the other two, yeah. Daquan saying, Colby, you said Fresno loses to Wyoming. How the fuck are they ranked 14? Because it's not based on what I think is going to happen on the field, Daquan. It's not me looking at what I think is going to happen. This is only looking at the resume. I do think they're going to lose to Wyoming in Laramie, but that's irrelevant. You know what I mean? And I do think right now, if Georgia played Fresno State, Georgia would win the game, right? But we're looking at the resume, and trust me, Fresno doesn't have any other Power Fives on the schedule. So if Georgia just wins a couple more games, they're going to surpass them. So you got to trust the resume and what the resume has right now. And I don't think anyone would argue that Fresno State's resume has been better. I mean, I would be surprised because if you have 2 road wins against Power Fives and Michigan doesn't and Kentucky doesn't and Georgia doesn't, then what are we doing here? Doesn't that make sense to you, to anyone, to the listener? I would question that. Fresno State at 14. Once again, though, they don't play any more Power Fives, so they're going to go back naturally, right? They're going to go back naturally. But if they win at Wyoming, which is a good win, yeah, that's a great win. But we'll see. Trust me, we've been doing this shit for years. At number 13, I have the Oregon Ducks. Oregon did play an FCS, and they scored like 80 fucking points. Portland State. They're like an average FCS, right? Oregon won in Lubbock. So Oregon's played 3 Power Fives. I'm not in love with Oregon's resume, but they have a win in Lubbock. Texas Tech, I think, is 3-2. Who'd they beat? They beat like an FCS. They beat Houston. No, they're 2-3, I think. Then they beat the Colorado Buffaloes, who are 3-2, a team with a winning record. They beat them really bad. And then they beat the piss out of Stanford. So they have 3 Power 5 wins. They also have a win against the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors. It's not an amazing resume, but they have 3 Power 5 wins. Like I said, Georgia only has 2 Power 5 wins. 1 on the road, right? Same with Oregon. We're giving credit to the team that has played more Power 5 wins, or that has more Power 5 wins thus far. At number 12, I got the James Madison Dukes because I think their resume is fucking incredible. They went on the road 3 straight weeks. They have more road wins than anybody in college football right now. And we don't even add in the fact they went back to back to back because you're not even looking at it like that. You're looking at it just like, hey, they have more road wins than every other team in college football. Right? They won at Utah State. I know it's not a great win. Utah State's sitting there, 2-3. They won at Troy. Troy's a good win, right? And they won at a Power 5 in Virginia. Now, Virginia might be the worst Power 5, but if we're going to honor Maryland's win against Virginia, then I think we have to honor James Madison's win against Virginia. And the fact they have those 3 Power 5 wins and a home win against South Alabama, when South Alabama beat the piss out of Oklahoma State in Stillwater, I think you have to honor what James Madison's done. They've also played an FCS. But 3 road wins is way more than anybody, the most in the fucking nation. And they beat South Alabama, who's got a great resume, win against, Oklahoma State. They have a good win against Troy, who just beat the piss out of undefeated Georgia State. And then a Power 5 win in UVA. I think you gotta have the Dukes. They're super fucking impressive. I'm not saying that for Patty C. I was shocked that they won all 3. Yeah, exactly. And JMU plays an FCS because no one wants to schedule them. I don't even think they seek out an FCS. I think they're trying to play more teams. I think someone canceled their series. At number 11, I got the Missouri Tigers because I think their resume is pretty impressive in a way. They got the K-State win. Now the road, their only road win is at Vanderbilt. Yes, they played a quote unquote neutral site game in St. Louis against Memphis, but that's still in your fucking home state. Still in your home state. And Memphis that's a nice win. Memphis is 4-1, right? You beat Kansas State, who's 4-1. You have 2 wins against 4-1 opponents. You have a third Power 5, a third win against at Vanderbilt, the construction zone. You also beat South Dakota in the FCS. South Dakota just beat North Dakota State in the FCS. That's a decent FCS win at the moment. And you beat Middle Tennessee, who is a team with a losing record. It's a good resume. It's better than Oregon's. It's better than Oregon's. Oregon won at Texas Tech. Missouri won at Vanderbilt. Sure, it's harder to go into Lubbock than it is to go into the construction zone. However, Missouri beat Kansas State. Oregon doesn't have a win as good as Kansas State's right now. Colorado is Oregon's best win record-wise on their resume. And they're 3-2. K-State's 4-1. So K-State, that win, and also Memphis 4-1. Memphis has a better record than anybody on Oregon's resume as well. It's all logical. Also, South Dakota, the FCS is better than Oregon's FCS. And Hawaii and Middle Tennessee State are kind of a wash record-wise right now. So that is my number 11 team, the Missouri Tigers. We Tigers on this podcast. Look, before I get to number 10, I want to tell you that the College Football Experience Dantabase Top 25 is brought to you by good old Underdog Fantasy. Yes, Underdog Fantasy has a way to play alongside your favorite football team all season long. Underdog has just introduced Scorchers. All right, go 5 for 5 and pick 'em Scorchers and enjoy a spicy 100 times the amount of money you enter payout. Oh, yeah, go 5 for 5, people. From now until October 4th, Underdog is matching 100% of the first deposits up to $500. Once again, they're also giving away $100,000 on Sundays on Underdog Fantasy. 10 lucky players will also win $10,000 each as well. They're randomly choosing that. It's fantastic. So watch along, make your picks, and maybe make a little extra cash on Underdog's mobile app or website, underdogfantasy.com. Look, and there's a pick I'm taking. Give me the Redskins to beat the Bears on Thursday. Redskins beat the Bears on Thursday. Bears suck, right? So when you sign up with the promo code SGPN at Underdog, will double your first deposit up to $500. That's Underdog Fantasy promo code SGPN. All right, moving down the line. We're in the top 10 here, folks. Let's have some fun. At number 10, I got the Washington State Cougars. Look, I love Wazoo's team this year. I think they're really fucking good. But they have a bye week. They had a bye week in this mix. Certain teams have early bye weeks. And I think you have to grade at, considering you can't just say, oh, well, they were on bye. No, they didn't play anybody there. They have a pretty good resume, though. They have 3 Power 5 wins. Oregon State, who's 4-1. Wisconsin, who's 3-1. They had a bye week too. And then who else did Wazoo play? No, I'm sorry. They only had 2 Power 5 wins. I'm sorry. 2 Power 5 wins, but they have a road win at Colorado State in the group of 5 that has a winning record as well. They did play an FCS in Northern Colorado, which is why I had them doctored. No. I had Northern Colorado is a terrible FCS right now. So that's not saying much. But the other 3 teams they've beat have winning records. And I think that matters. They have that road win. They only been on the road once this year. So there's that. But I think the Oregon State win and the Wisconsin win, the fact together they're 7-2. It's better than Oregon's resume. It's better than Missouri's resume. And then when you add in the Colorado State factor too, that they went to Fort Collins, and how about this? It's the way they won some of those games. They never trailed against Wisconsin. They beat the piss out of Colorado State. So I got Wazoo at number 10. Take that, McAfee. At number 9, jumping over to this one. This is okay. I talked about the other one. The Miami Hurricanes are the one that I'm like, man, I don't know if they really belong at number 19. This is my other one. Maryland at number 9. I truly believe Washington State's resume is better than Maryland. But the fact Wazoo had a bye week, I think hurts them right now. So Wazoo is what? 4-0. Maryland's 5-0. They've both played FCSs. Maryland's FCS is better than Washington State's. Now, Washington State's wins against Oregon and Wisconsin and Colorado State, 3 teams with a winning record, certainly better than Maryland's wins, but Maryland does have this going. So Wazoo's only beaten 2 Power 5s. Well, Maryland has beaten 3 Power 5s. Michigan State in East Lansing, granted, that was when they didn't have Mel Tucker. Indiana and UVA. I mean, Indiana and UVA are battling for worst Power 5. But I just think you have 3 Power 5 wins compared to 2. You have a better FCS win. And you just got, you got Charlotte as your other win, which is it's not a great win, but it's better than a bye week. It's better than a bye week. If Wazoo beats UCLA this weekend, they're going to jump way the fuck up past Maryland. Unless Maryland beats Ohio State, of course. I mean, but right now, I think this was the only controversy. I mean, this was the second controversial one. I think that you have the Miami angle and then Maryland being ahead of Wazoo. Because, look, I think Wazoo's win against Oregon State is better than anything on Maryland's resume. I think Wazoo's win against Wisconsin is better than anything on Maryland's resume. I think you can make the argument that Wazoo's win at Colorado State might be better than anything on Maryland's resume. But I think Maryland at number 9, yeah, I think that's where they belong. At number 8, Easy's onto it already. At number 8, I got the Ohio State Buckeyes. Yes, wait a second. They have one of the best road wins in college football. They do. They do. But besides that, they don't have much. All right? First off, they played an FCS. Of my remaining schools in the top 8, only one other team has played an FCS that's ahead of them. So by them playing an FCS, it hurts their resume a little bit. They also only played, 2 Power 5 teams? And they had a bye week. So they're getting a point deducted in a way for the bye week right now, although everyone will catch up to it. They have a win against Indiana, at Indiana. That's a road game. They have 2 road wins. That's impressive, right? 2 Power 5 road wins. But after that, they have an FCS win against Youngstown, and they got a win against Western Kentucky, which actually is looking better. That win's looking better and better. After they won the 100 Miles of Hate. But yeah, I think right now, the bye week and everything, I think that they have the 8th best resume in college football. At number 7, and this one is a fun debate. At number 7, I got USC. USC has played more Power 5s than Ohio State. Now, obviously, Ohio State, that win at Notre Dame is better than anything on USC's resume, by far, right? But also, USC didn't play an FCS. All right? USC has also played 5 games, right? So, USC's best win is at Colorado. And that's another thing. They also have 2 road wins. Now, I know it's not the same, but you can, it's not that far off. At Notre Dame is a much harder win than anything on USC's resume. But at Colorado and at Arizona State, if Arizona State plays Indiana, I got no fucking idea who's winning that game. All right? I think Colorado's better than Indiana. So you got that. USC also played Stanford. They also played San Jose State and Nevada. And I know Nevada's basically like an FCS. The shit, they lost to a top 5 FCS this year. But it doesn't matter. Nevada's been a decent program over the years. When they scheduled that 5 fucking years ago, they had no idea. All right? The resume is a tiny bit better than Ohio State's right now, in my opinion. I think you could argue that. Yeah, and USC's playing without a defense. So accurate, very accurate. Look, at number 6, you're going to really feel like this is what? What if I told you, folks, that there's only 2 teams that have played 4 Power 5 opponents already by October 3rd? Yeah, there's only 2. And they're both in my top 8 because they're undefeated. Louisville's one of them. Louisville has played 4 Power 5 opponents. Now, they're shitty Power 5 opponents for the most part. NC State, though, does have a winning record. They won at NC State. They won a neutral site game in Indiana, but it was in the state of Indiana. So it's kind of an away game. They also won at Georgia Tech, even though it was a neutral site game in Atlanta, just at a different stadium. That's your third Power 5 win there. And then they beat the piss out of Boston College. That's 4 Power 5 wins. They do have an FCS. This is the only other team with an FCS in the top 8 that was on their schedule. Look, I know Ohio State would beat the piss out of Louisville right now. I would feel very confident with that assessment. But I think Louisville's played double the amount of Power 5 opponents. Now, I know you can say, well, Notre Dame's better than everyone on their resume. Accurate. But I could also say NC State, certainly better than Louisville. I'm sorry, certainly better than Indiana, not Louisville. And they both played Indiana. So, they cancel each other out there. Who the fuck does Ohio State have on the resume? Western Kentucky is their next best win. You got it right now. Say Louisville's resume is better right now. A week from now, might not be. Well, I don't know if Louisville beats Notre Dame. Yeah, I think Louisville's. Like I said, there's only 2 teams in the country that have 4 Power 5 wins, and the other team, not named Louisville, I have at number 2, and we'll get to that in a minute. At number 5. I have the North Carolina Tar Heels. 0 FCSs played so far. Now, here's the thing with North Carolina. They only have 1 road win. And I think you can argue that Louisville might deserve to be ahead of North Carolina. Because Louisville's played 1 true road game in a college stadium. However, they have played 3 away games in the home team state. You know what I mean? Like Indiana's home state was in Indianapolis. They were in the home state of Indiana. They were in Atlanta, just at a different stadium, not Bobby Dodd. They were at that filthy Mercedes-Benz stadium. So it's kind of like 3 road games, sort of. That might give you a better resume than North Carolina, in my opinion. But North Carolina hasn't played an FCS. North Carolina has 1 road game at Pitt, but they also have a neutral site win in their own home state against South Carolina. Pitt and South Carolina both have losing records. However, Minnesota does have a winning record. Appalachian State has a winning record. And North Carolina has beaten both of those. I think you could argue this. And I would even be okay with me switching those. But at the end of the day, I feel like North Carolina has played a better resume than Louisville. Like, I think App State would beat the piss out of Boston College. I think App State would beat Indiana. I know App State would beat Murray State, the FCS on Louisville's schedule. And I think App State, I would lay like 35 with App State against Murray State. So I think that resume is better. I think North Carolina's resume is better than Louisville. So I put North Carolina at number 5. Makes sense. Make it make sense. At number 4, I got the Washington Huskies. Yes. Look, they have 3 Power 5 wins. So North Carolina only has 2 Power 5 wins. I think that's what North Carolina's beat. No, they have 3 Power 5 wins. I'm sorry. Right? North Carolina beat Minnesota, South Carolina, and Pitt. You're right. But Washington, I think, has done it with style points too. Not only have they have 2 road wins, which once again North Carolina only has 1 road win at Pitt, right? Washington went cross country to Michigan State. Now, obviously Michigan State's a dumpster fire right now, but regardless, they didn't know that shit when they scheduled it. They went on there, they beat the piss out of them. That was another thing too. They dominated that game. Then they also won at Arizona. Arizona currently does have a winning record. So that is 2 road wins there. Home wins, they beat Boise State, Tulsa. Tulsa has a winning record. And then Cal, who has a winning record. So they have 3 Power 5 wins against, teams with better win percentages than North Carolina. I think, and they've gone on the road 1 more time than North Carolina. And they also have beaten the piss out of pretty much everyone they've played. That gives me Washington at number 4. Yes. Yes, blowing out Michigan State was inevitable. Noah behind the scenes as a Michigan fan, rubbing Tabasco in Sparty's eyes. Look, at number 3, I got the Florida State Seminoles. I know the Boston College look is bad. I know they probably should have lost at Clemson. Clemson had 120 or more yards of offense. But that win at Clemson, you could argue, is maybe the best win of the whole college football season. Clemson does have a winning record currently. They went to Clemson. That's a crazy tough environment. Got the dub. They also beat LSU. Now, even though we don't know, I don't know how good that LSU win is going to be at the end of the day. But right now, it still looks all right. If we give Ole Miss credit for LSU, we got to give Florida State credit for LSU. They also have another road win at Boston College. Now, it was ugly. It was not a pretty win. They also beat the piss out of Southern Miss, but Southern Miss is terrible. And that is essentially Florida State's schedule. I still think that win at Clemson is everything. Then look, you could argue Washington has beaten 3 Power 5s, and Washington's gone on the road more than Florida State. Or no, the same as Florida State. I think Washington's resume, though, like comparing Southern Miss and Boston College, I get it. LSU and Clemson are better than anything on Washington's resume, we think. But you could also argue they haven't played teams as bad, maybe, as Southern Miss. Southern Miss is fucking ass. And I'm going to eat shit on this because I have Southern Miss on the over this year. You could argue that. I think Florida State's resume is better than Washington's, though, right now. At number 2, there's only one other team that's played 4 Power 5s, and that is the Penn State Nittany Lions. And the resume is looking pretty fucking good. Penn State has played West Virginia. West Virginia hasn't lost since. They also won that game by like 20-some points. They ran it up. That was a closer game than the score indicates. But they also, Iowa only has 1 loss. Iowa only has 1 loss. They also beat, now Penn State did play an FCS, so there was 1 more, but at least it's Delaware. It's like a fucking blue blood FCS. But Penn State won at Illinois. Illinois kind of looks average, but it is a road win. They also won at Northwestern. They have 2 Power 5 road wins. Now, both those teams look very questionable. But I still think Penn State's resume is pretty fucking impressive right now. Like I said, there's only been 2 teams right now that have 4 Power 5 wins. Louisville and Penn State. Both those teams did play in FCS. But if you have 4 Power 5 wins, and at least Penn State's FCS is Delaware, which has been like a fucking, like they're a blue blood in the FCS. Louisville's win was against Murray State. Murray State's complete ass. All right. I think Penn State's resume deserves to be where it is right now. Right? I think they have the second best resume in college football if the season ended right now. At number 1, though, and this is how you know I'm. Look, there's people know me. The team I hate most in college football. Well, maybe it's NC State occasionally. But I do hate Texas. I thought Texas is the reason for a lot of this realignment. They seem like they're that girlfriend that's never fucking happy. They're always bitching and complaining. And I do truly hate them because of that. I didn't always hate them. In the 90s, I used to like Texas, but they've earned this, in my opinion. But Texas has the best resume in the nation. Let's be honest. Give me Texas. Load it up on the screen, Noah. Texas Longhorns are the number 1 team in the nation, and they deserve to be the number 1 team in the nation, in my opinion. Their road win at Alabama, one of the most hostile environments in the nation, and Alabama hasn't lost since, I think means a lot. And they won by double digits. I also think when you look at the other wins, granted, they've played 3 backup quarterbacks, but it's not Texas's fault it's not their fault that they're getting backup quarterbacks. But at Baylor just beat UCF. That win looks better now. Guess what? They beat Kansas. Jalen Daniels didn't play, but Kansas is fucking 4-1. It's not Texas' fault. They also beat Wyoming with Wyoming's backup quarterback. Not Texas' fault, but Wyoming looks like they're going to be like a 9-10 win team in the Mountain West right now. They're 4-1. They also beat Rice, and Rice looks like they're on their way to a bowl game too. I think they have the best resume in college football right now. They didn't play an FCS. So look, they didn't play an FCS. They have a way better road win than Penn State. At Alabama is a much better win than at Illinois. Also, I think if you were comparing Penn State's and Texas's resume, despite Penn State having 4 Power 5 wins, I think you could make a case Wyoming and Rice are both better than Northwestern. Certainly Wyoming. I don't know about Rice. I think that's a game. I think I'd take Rice though. That resume is better. And the fact they didn't play an FCS, like I said, Penn State played an FCS. And if you want to look at Florida State, compare Florida State's resume to Texas, I think Texas's resume is better. Because that win at Alabama, I think Alabama's better than Clemson. I think Alabama would beat Clemson tomorrow. I also believe that, if you told me Kansas and LSU play tomorrow, Kansas and Ole Miss are like the same fucking team to me. Ole Miss just beat LSU. So I think I understand that Jalen Daniels didn't play, but that's not Texas' fault. I think Texas has a better resume. Florida State played Southern Miss. Southern Miss sucks ass. Boston College sucks ass. I would take Rice to beat Boston College. Northern Illinois already beat Boston College. They're fucking terrible in the MAC. Rice and Wyoming would both beat Boston College and Southern Miss. And I feel confident saying that. Texas, as much as I hate them, deserve the top spot in the nation right now. And I think if you had a CFP right now, they would get the 1 seed. They would be deserving of the 1 seed. So, see, you can't give me shit, Texas fans. I know people give me shit. Say I like the bag on Texas. That's true. It's true. I do. Because they're little bitches that always complain. They're never fucking happy. Oh, we need more money. You got more money. Then you're still like, no. Baylor's getting too close to us. And you always bitch and moan because you're little bitches, right? And you're like, no, Houston can't become a Power 5 because we recruit in Houston, right? But your fucking resume is good. You're good, all right? Boom, you're number 1 in the nation. Dantabase Top 25, Week 1 review for the Dantabase Top 25. I know we're in week, 5, 6. Folks, that's our show, all right? This is the Dantabase Top 25. It'll come out every single week. All right. I don't do it earlier in September because you can't get a gauge on who the fuck's what. And then you're locked into those rankings in a way. Sort of. Yes. Shout out to Easy. Says the Dantabase Top 25 is what I look forward to most each year from Dundee. Should be the official rankings every year. Someone call the NCAA. Yes, I agree. Pick Dundee for your president. Not real president. NCAA president. I don't want to go hang out with the United Nations and shit. You know what I mean? Right? Anyway, folks, subscribe to the College Football Experience. All right. We're on, first give us a follow on Twitter at TCE on SGPN. I'm on Twitter at TheColbyD. On YouTube, you can watch this show every week, youtube.com/The College Experience. I'm back tonight I'm back in like 1 hour with our FCS Week 5 reaction show. We were supposed to do it yesterday, but we had a scheduling conflict. It's coming out in an hour. And also tonight we'll be back with the ACC basketball preview. I'm looking forward to that one. Talking ACC. College basketball is right around the corner, folks. I host the College Basketball Experience every single night of the college basketball season. I am live with Moneyline Mac and the rest of the TCE crew, Noah Beanick and company, talking college hoops every single night of the season. Every single night. We don't take fucking nights off. We don't do that shit. All right? So subscribe to the College Basketball Experience. Also, the College Baseball Experience with Noah Beanick. This is obviously the College Football Experience. We also have the FCS College Football Experience and the Big 12 Experience, hosted by Moneyline Mac. If any Big 12 fans out there, check that one out. Those are all separate podcasts, folks. Subscribe to all of those and go to iTunes and give us a 5-star review. That would be fantastic. But all of those podcasts come together on YouTube, youtube.com/The College Experience. Check it out. Check out the Sports Gambling Podcast every Friday night on VSiN. Yes, if you get the NFL package on YouTube TV, that means you have VSiN. VSIN is a network. Get on over there. Watch the boys every Friday night, 9 o'clock Pacific, midnight Eastern, obviously. And check out the Sports Gambling Podcast in general. Check out the Bottom Line Bombs with CJ Sullivan. It's a great podcast I highly recommend. And check out the whole crew. Right now we got what? MLB playoffs. Check out the MLB gambling podcast. NBA and NHL are about to start. NBA gambling podcast, NHL gambling podcast, all that good shit. Check it all out, folks. Get that SGPN app. Free to download in the App Store and Google Play Store. And come talk. Maybe you disagree. Maybe you think I'm a fucking idiot. Fair. All right? Hop on in the Discord and tell me. All right? sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Discord. Until next time, folks, this is the Dantabase Top 25 on the college football experience. You better start thinking about yours. And we out of here.
Run and shoot. We can really run and shoot.